and to live out of conviction. But more than that, as a people, as a gathering of leaders, our job is to build people of conviction. And I believe that God wants a church that has a maturity because people will live out of strong conviction. And I had, flick up the next one, I had this weird dream a couple of weeks ago that I kind of think was prophetic, that I was kind of walking around looking at these different ministries and equippers, and man, we have some amazing world-class ministries, eh? Like, you think, oh, we need someone to lead some games. Let's get Bola Whakalata and Ben Greenwood. I mean, amazing, community. Let's get a young, woman leader. Let's get Esther Greenwood. Or, hey, youth band, let's roll out the people who won the Vodafone Music Award for, We just have incredible ministries, and it's easy to just like, wow, these are amazing. But, the Bible talks about the body, the church is like a body, and different organs as different people. And if you flick up the next one, there's a whole argument, just the complexity of individual organs. And I felt like that when you're looking at different ministries, I'm like, man, they are amazing. Like, Equippers has amazing ministry. But the thing that I felt God showed me, if you flick up the next one, is almost the success of Equippers in the future is not on these kind of amazing ministries, but on the faithful reproduction of the DNA in every cell. Get that? So the future of Equippers is not on having a range of world-class ministries. The future success for what we're doing is that we faithfully reproduce the DNA in every single cell. And so the challenge is there, and that the things that we talk about, the heartbeats, and I love that language of heartbeats. You can talk about DNA, you can talk about atmosphere, but heartbeat, that's what makes my heart beat, this passion for honor, for excellence, for advancing, those are my heartbeats. And so my job in leadership is that that's just not a thing on a wall. It's not even what I choose to kind of submit to. It's like, that's what my heart beats with. Those are my conviction that I'm a better person, I'm a better Christian because of those values. And the future of Equippers is my ability to see those convictions that are in my heart transferred to every single cell of people who come, and it's like, that's our confidence for the future. So it's like, we got to be people of conviction, and we got to build people of conviction. If you flick up the next one, Pastor Sam, I'm not going to do all these German ones I just thought they were all cool. Pastor Sam preached this message a couple of years ago, you're a big kid now. And it was this kind of challenge like, hey, we want adult relationships, which means we want people who take responsibility for their life. And part of that is we want people who live out of conviction. So our job is not control or whatever. Our job is to build conviction into people. And, flick up the next one, the famous passage for our move in Ephesians 4:11. The job of those ministries is to equip people so that they would become mature. And the definition of maturity in the next one, flick up the next one, is this. That the definition of infants is they're tossed back and forward, like blowing here. I didn't feel like that today, or I didn't, or I heard this, or I read this, or I saw this thing on the internet. It's no. Mature people live out of conviction. And it's like, I need to live out of conviction. I'm committed to living a life of honor, honoring the presence of God, honoring the gift on people. I'm committed to living a life of excellence. I'm committed to advancing and understanding I do that through serving. I'm committed to reaching out. I'm committed to doing life together. And not only am I committed to that, I want the people in my one job is to make sure that is transferred to the people in my world and my teams. And there's the future of Equippers is not on the emergence of superstar ministries. The future of Equippers is those heartbeats, those convictions are passed on to every cell. And then this thing becomes infinitely scalable because the DNA has been faithfully transferred. And then the ministries the star ministries will happen. That's just a given. But that's not like, the job is transfer the DNA. And so I want to talk about this thing of conviction. If you flick up the next one, Pastor Sam talked about the only other alternative is trying to lord it over, telling people what to do. And, a number of times Jesus said, no, we don't act like the Gentile leaders who lord it over them. Next one. Paul says this, we don't lord it over people's faith. That's not our job, telling people what to do. Our job is to build conviction in them. And if you've been around Pastor Sam for any length of time, when he's talking to someone, he'll be challenging, come on, what's your conviction? Because we want adult relationships with people who live out of conviction. And we need to do that. There's a third one. Peter says we don't lord it over those entrusted to us. No, my job is not to tell people what to do. And my job is to build conviction into them. So they live out of then I don't have to be chasing them up because they have a conviction that we're going to honor. They have a conviction that I want to live a life of excellence. They have a conviction that I'm going to serve. Otherwise, I've got to keep trying to checking up on people. It's like, no, my job is to build conviction. And so I want to challenge you around kind of team and stuff this year. Come on, your job is to build conviction, to see a faithful transference of the DNA into every new cell. Because then this thing will work. So I've got stuff around 4 applications of this stuff of conviction, but I don't think we're going to have time to do them all, but we'll do some of them. And some of you have heard this before, but if you think about this in terms of this concept of building conviction, is that all right? Yeah. So the first one around is this thing, levels of connection, that Pastor Sam's talked about, kind of like a funnel. And to go, there's this kind of funnel of connection, and the first level is a kind of association that people hang out, but then it goes down to alignment and then to an agreement. And just thinking about this is, what are we trying to build into people? So the first level of association, we know well, whole lot of verses. First one, blessed is the one who does not walk in step with the wicked, stand in the way of sinners, or sit. It's like, I'm shaped by my association. So this is all simple A. Next one, walk with the wise and become wise. And the next one, don't be misled, bad company. So it's like, the Bible is like, I'm shaped by who I associate with. So we create an environment where we actually believe people are going to be blessed by associating with us. Don't they? We're confident. Just come to church. You're going to be blessed. Come along. Could I invite you along? You're going to find life. We're convinced that on the negative side, if you associate with the wrong people, that's going to influence you for bad. But actually, I think we have a conviction that everything we do, we work hard to do, is create an environment that if people would just associate, they're going to be blessed. And we have a culture, let's bless those who choose to associate. Come on, feed the top of the funnel. You're going to be blessed by associating. And so we often say, choose your squad wisely, because, man, you're going to be impacted by who you associate with. We're trying to challenge young people, like, that's your first decision. And we want to kind of say to people, hey, if you would associate with our church, you're going to be blessed. Come on, because there's a culture here. I don't know, are you confident? I'm pretty confident. I have a conviction about that. If you would choose to associate, blessing is going to come to you, because there's a whole lot of people that are going to honor God. They're going to honor you. They're going to do things well. They're going to serve you. They're going to be committed to doing relationships. They're committed to reaching out. So if you would just get close to this environment, you're going to be blessed. I'm convinced about that. And so also, final probably German one, show me your friends and I'll show you your future. It's like, come on, we want to create an environment. We have a conviction that we would create something collective where people are going to be blessed by associating with us. And Pastor Sam's often, hey, welcome. Come on, we'll just serve you. People associate, you're our guest, we'll serve you. We just want you to be blessed by association. But here's the thing, a lot of people are like, man, this is awesome, so I want to be called Equippers. It's like, oh no, you've mistaken association for another level, which is this, which is alignment. Because association is, man, the culture that's here, it's a blessing being around. Alignment is, I choose to align with this culture and live out of conviction with what's the common here. I've picked up the DNA of this. And I love, this worked well in Germany, it's the image of a car, that this car is going somewhere. But the alignment is an image of the wheel. It's like, a lot of people are like, I love associating, but I still want to go this way. And alignment is a shift of conviction that I am convinced that this church is moving forward to be a blessing to this town, this community, this nation, and this world. And I want to choose to align myself and get on board with this, where this is going. It's no longer about, oh, but I might want to do this. No, it's like I enjoy the froth or the blessing of association, but I want to go to another level because I want to see this thing keep moving forward. So I choose to align where this is going out of conviction. I'm convinced that this Equippers is doing good. And I want to add to that. I don't want to be the wheel that causes the vibration of always trying to head off in a different direction. And so a lot of people are like, oh, I love associating, but I'm still wanting to go this way. And it's like, no, there's another level of conviction which I'm going to line up because I like where this thing's going. And I believe in this thing. And you see a whole different flicker, a whole different way of relating with Elijah and Elisha. You know, Elijah is told that he's going to anoint Elisha to succeed him. So he knows this is the man, but he doesn't, association is like, hey, welcome, you're our VIP, we'll serve you, we'll bless you, you know. But alignment's different. Alignment doesn't chase people to bless them in a sense. Elijah so he knows he's the guy, but if you flick up the next one, so he finds him, he said, Elijah just passed by him, threw his mantle on him, because it's not association as, man, I'm here to bless you and serve you. Alignment is, we're going this way, do you want to get on board? That was a bit quiet. And Elisha faced a choice. And if you see, like, oh, let me go and do that. And if you flick up the next one, Elijah's like, well, go back. What have I done to you? He's like, I'm not going to chase. If you're our guest, out of honor and excellence, I'm going to bless you. But when we're talking about alignment, your decision is, do you want to get on board with where we're going? And you know, and Elisha turns back and then he sacrifices the oxen and the equipment because he's like, yeah, I do want to align myself with this guy. This is my future. And a lot of people want to associate, but they don't understand about going to alignment. And then, you know, even at the end of his life, when it comes to pass that Elijah's about to go up to heaven, and again, Elijah is like, he doesn't pursue Elisha. He's like, oh, just stay here. And Elisha's like, man, I'm not going to leave you. I've chosen to align myself with this. My future is here. There is something good happening here, and I want that. And Elijah always tries to discourage him. Just stay here. And he's, you flicked up, that's good. And 4 times other prophets say, do you know that he's going to be caught up today? And Elisha's like, be quiet. I know. And Elijah just says, hey, just stay there. And Elisha's like, I will not leave you. I have chosen to align myself with you. There's something here that I want. And about 4 times it happens, and then flick up the next one, it gets to the end. Finally, Elijah says, what can I do before you? And Elisha's this, I want what you've got. I want the grace that's on this thing. In fact, I want a double portion of it. And alignment kind of, you know, as Kiwis, we're so independent, so I want to do it my way, to get to a point where you go, hey, I'm blessed by associating, but actually I choose to align because I want to be part of this thing. I want to see the fruit of this thing. Now, I've been in ministry kind of 35 years or so. I started in youth work. I remember the first time being at Pastor Sam's church in Auckland, and just seeing a whole wave of young people respond. I just stood at the back and wept. And it was like, man, I've waited a long time to be part of something like this again. I just want to align with this, that sees waves of young people coming to faith, that sees another generation released. Like, I want that. I'm not after my own agenda. I'm not the wheel going. I just want to align with this because I want this. You know, and he's like, you've asked a difficult thing. If you see what I'm taking from, see me when I'm taken from yours. If you can see it, yeah, you can have it. But it's like, I want this thing, and I choose to let go of independence to align with, out of conviction. Out of conviction, I choose to align with this. You know, it was interesting. I was in Germany. There's the church in Mainz has just become Equippers. Up the north, the church in Flensburg is about to, and the pastor's so excited. It's like, finally, I'm free of this ambiguity. Are you this? Are you that? What? It's like, this is who we are, and this is where we're going. And so now you know, if you want to be part of this, feel free to join. If you want to associate with us, you're going to be blessed. But if you want to be part of us, this is where we're going. And it's like, oh, there's a power and alignment that I think our independence as a Kiwi culture has robbed us of. Anyway, I won't get into all that. So flick up the next one. And this is a quote from Art Boshoff from South Africa. Association brings the blessing that is upon someone else to you. Alignment positions you to carry that blessing and to change a world for the purpose of God. I love that. Associate with us, you're going to be blessed. Alignment is, I just don't want to be the blessing of being around Equippers. I want to carry that blessing to the rest of this world. I'm not here to try and go, oh, I like that, but I'll do my own. No. I want to carry that blessing. I've been blessed by association. Now I choose to align to carry that blessing. And it's like, oh, and that is out of conviction. And I pray that you get a conviction that, man, I want to align to see this thing move forward, see it multiply, see it grow. Those are great quotes, eh? I think they're fantastic. Next one. But I think there's a third level agreement. He says there's a third level agreement, which, if you flick up the next one, I think it's like you can associate, you'll be blessed hanging around. You'll be blessed coming to shout. You'll be blessed turning up at a pastor's meeting. Next level is I choose to align with this thing because I want what they've got. I want what's happening. But I think there's a deeper level of conviction when it's like, I actually agree with this deep down. I agree that you should honor the presence of God. I agree that you should honor the gift on people's life. I agree that you should live a life of excellence. I agree that you should commit to advance serving. I agree that we need I'm not just enjoying the blessing of association. I'm not even pragmatically aligning for success. I actually agree. I don't know if you... Come on. You don't have to persuade me. You don't have to I agree with this thing. Out of conviction, I agree. And so how can two walk together unless they agree? Yeah, I can walk following Pastor Sam because I agree with this. Heartbeats. And I think I'm a better Christian through adopting the heartbeats of Equippers. I think I'm a better person, human being, through adopting the heartbeats. I have a conviction, and so therefore I have no hesitation in the people in my world of seeing that DNA transferred because I have a conviction that they're going to be better people by starting to live lives of honor and excellence and reaching out and together and advancing through service. So I agree with them, and I want to see people in my world agree and not live out of control because someone's telling them you've got to be here, but now living out of conviction that follows it. And so, this next one, the famous verse, next one, how good and pleasant it is. It's actually great when we're blessed by association, but we've actually gone to another level where we have momentum because we've aligned, but at another level we actually agree about what we're trying to do. And it's like, oh man, as leaders, I got to get that myself, but then I got one job, get that into the people in my world so that they live out of conviction because they're blessed by association, but they've also chosen to align, but even deeper than that, they actually agree with this now. And it's like, oh, this is what it's all about, living out of conviction and building people of conviction. Does that sound all right? Cool. So flick up the next one. And Pastor Sam often talks about there's a difference between starting in the unity of the Spirit, but equipping to the unity of the faith that we have the same game plan. We actually agree. No one's saying this is the only way to do church. No one's even saying it's the best way to do the church, but it's a flippin' good way to do church, and it works, and I like it, and I agree with it. And if you don't like it, fine. But I agree with this, and I have no hesitation in trying to build this into the people in my world because it's working and it's good. Is that all right? So conviction. Yeah, I want that deeper level of agreement. I have a conviction that I agree with this. But what that means is then that leads to this focus on DNA and the culture and values is like, oh, this is my job, not to develop world-class ministries, but to faithfully transfer this DNA into everybody that comes into our world. So there's a consistency to it. Flick up the next one. When I was in Denmark, they got me to speak to, they have this nationwide thing of all their young leaders, like 17, 18-year-olds or so. And they asked me to talk about leading teams. And again, so I was been in ministry kind of 30 years before I came to Equippers, and we've been pastor for 9 years. And I remember, if you flick up the next one, when I came to Equippers College, and they said, oh, here's the lecture notes that probably Ryan's wife prepared on ministry or something. There's 101, ministry versus leadership. And it's like, don't be a minister, be a leader. And I was like, why did I not know this 30 years ago? like how do you miss this? And it was all, ministry is about meeting people's needs. Leadership is about building a team of people who minister. And it's like, oh no, that's what I was supposed to be doing all this time. And it's like this culture. And again, so I want to challenge you. You're not here. This year is not about you doing ministry. You're here to lead teams, which means that you put conviction in them that they become ministers. And part of it is this whole thing, why do you have to wrestle with this? It comes from the nature of God, that he's always about teamwork. But as Pastor Sam said, it also comes from the scale of the need. You'll feel really nice going around ministering. Oh, you're such a lovely person because I was sick and you came and visited me. It's like, no, you're going to reach a ceiling. Your job is to build teams who do the ministry. I remember hearing Phil Pringle say from C3, like, someone's sick in hospital, don't go and visit them. He's like, no, by yourself, take someone with you, so next time they'll go and they'll take someone with them. I'm like, how we got into the trap of doing ministry where it's kind of Equippers 101 is a leadership culture. I'm here to lead teams who do ministry, and that's my job. And the transference of the DNA about how they do ministry, but my job is to lead teams, because again, it's scalable. Flick up the next one. Pastor Sam and Pastor Bruce often say, you don't grow your church on Sunday. I was talking about this in Denmark, and people are like, but isn't it all about being able to prophesy and minister in the supernatural and preach? And they'll say, yeah, Sunday it's given, you've got to be able to do that, but that's not what grows your church. Oh, it's about leading teams Monday to Friday, building team, building culture, building capacity, building conviction into people. I'm often surprised, and I think looking back on when I was a pastor, that was my mistake. I thought that what I did on Sunday was everything, I'm often surprised with Pastor Sam's meetings Monday morning with all these pastors. It's like 30, how was Sunday? Oh, good, now what are we doing this week? I was like, you're there to lead, not just to minister. Was that right? Yeah. It's given Sundays have to be great, but that's not what grows. We're here to lead something which is about the replication of DNA and values. Flick up the next one. I don't know if you've seen Robert Morris, The Blessed Church, has got a chapter in there, the pastor's 3-part job description. Pray, teach the word, and raise up leaders. He gets it from 2 passages. Exodus 18, Moses' father-in-law comes, he's doing all this ministry. He said, no, this is dumb Moses, trying to minister to everyone. Your job is this, be the people's representative before God, pray. Number 2, teach them his decrees. And the third one, next one, select capable men from the people. Pray, teach, and raise up leaders. Similarly, Acts chapter 6, the issue with the feeding, distribution. Flick up the next one. We will turn this responsibility over to them, and we will give our attention to prayer and the ministry of the word. So Robert Morris is like, Old Testament, New Testament, what's your job? Pray, teach, and raise up leaders. Pass on culture of people who will do ministry. Out of conviction, build conviction into them so they're doing this in a way that multiplies ministry in the church. So, this is our job. Flick up the next one. And the result is this. So the word of God spread. The number of disciples increased rapidly. This is how you get multiplication. By partnering together. And my job is the transmission of the DNA into people so that they do this ministry. My job is to equip people for ministry, not rush around doing ministry. And a lot of you are team leaders. Your job is to build a team who carries the DNA to multiply the ministry. Like, that's your job description this year. So he's like, oh, that's real simple. Flick up the next one. Some of you, Hillsong College does a 3-year program, and they're quite clear. On our first year, we're there to produce people who are good workers or ministers. It's like, on our second year, we want to produce leaders who then lead the teams of workers. And then our third year, we want to produce leaders of leaders. And it's like, we're here to lead teams of ministers. We're here, and then we're here to lead. This becomes infinitely scalable. Then we're here to lead the leaders of the teams of ministers. Pastor Bruce, just every time anything gets too big, he creates another layer of a small group of leaders. So now he talks about his E-group that has the head of the Nigerian church who has like 8 to 10 million people, and the head of the Ghanaian church who has 400,000 or something. We could do this if we did our job of ensuring that the DNA is passed on to the people that we're responsible for. That we're building people of conviction, because we're people of conviction. We're not just trying to manage people or lord it over them. We're building conviction into them, which leads to this whole thing. There's a whole lot of things around leading teams, but some of you might have heard this before, but one of the things that says top of the priority is you're there to create culture in your team. So flick up the next one. I just want to talk about this for a minute. So some of you would have heard this, but that your job is creating culture, which is the point now people live out by this conviction. Your job is to shape your team so they carry culture, so that by conviction they do this. Not chasing, where are you? Why haven't you learned the songs? Why were you late? No, you've built the culture and where they now by conviction do these things. If you flick up the next one, I love this. I kept the German for this, but I love these sayings. Culture trumps vision. Trumps isn't probably such a good word these days, but like, how do you like culture sticks vision? Like, stick it to vision. It's like the idea that this is an idea. 15 years ago, leadership was all about vision and stuff. Now it's like, no, culture is more important even than vision. And I was talking to a guy who used to be in our church who's the CEO of a government department. He's like, oh yeah, that's secular management theory now. So their sentence is this: culture triumphs over strategy. It's like, you can have all the vision, you can have all the strategy, but if you don't have the culture, it will undermine it. What am I saying? The essence of Equippers is the faithful transmission of the DNA to every new cell. That the culture is passed on, and then that can multiply anywhere. So, you are in the job of building culture. And if you flick up the next one, culture is, leadership. You're architects and custodians of the culture. That's your first job. Build culture. Build the culture into your team till they live out of conviction of it. Culture is just how we do things here and why we do it. All of Equippers, this is what we do, and this is the why behind the what. This is why we do these things. Leadership is just reading that. And I love this final line. I don't know where I got it from, but this: everything in your culture you have either permitted or created. So many leaders like, I'm frustrated that my people at the music team's always late, or they're not ready, or, well, you either permitted or created it. Welcome to leadership. You changed the culture not by telling people off, lording it over them, by teaching them the why behind the what till they live out of conviction. And it's like, here's your job. Transmit the culture by building conviction. If there's things in the culture of your team that you don't like, they're there because you've either permitted it or created it. If you don't like it, build a different conviction, which means knowing the why behind the what. We talk about being a thermostat versus a thermometer. And like a thermometer just reads the temperature and adjusts. The thermostat sets the temperature. Come on, your job is to live out a conviction that you set the culture. But here's the challenge, that then your next layer of leaders would be thermostats as well, who choose to set culture. Rather than, hey, come on, I'm sick of preaching with not a lot of feedback. Come on, speak more. It's like, no, they go, no, we're going to set the culture of feedback. We're going to set the culture of encouragement. We're going to set the culture of excellence. I remember the first day that Josh Hui Ruick was at Bible college, and he'd done C-Lab, and he came back to do the Bible college year, and the very first devotion, praise and worship started, and everyone just stood there, and I saw this look of horror on his face. He's like, I don't want to spend a year in an environment like this. So he just leapt up the front and started leaping around like he does, and everyone's like, oh, so this is what you do here, and they started joining in. But I love that he was now a carrier of culture. He was a thermostat of culture. And you imagine if you so built conviction into your team that you didn't have to be revving them up all the time, but they became thermostats of the culture that then transfers on. So we want a movement of people who live out of conviction. Not from lording it over, but also not laissez-faire. But you have led by building culture. Come on, so people live out of conviction. Flick up the next one. We often talk about this, knowing the why behind the what. That's when people can live out of conviction. I love, flick up the next one. This, we know why some of our hospitality stuff. I remember talking to one of the students last year or the year before and said to them, oh, where are you serving on Sunday? And he said, oh, I'm in the First Impressions team. I said, oh, what's that? And he said, oh, it used to be called the car park team. I love that he has this conviction like, I get to create, rather than God, you get the bum job stuck in the rain, not even in the service. He's like, no, I get to create the first impression of Equippers Church, and that's biblical, that will go a long way out to welcome people in. He's living out a conviction. Pastor Sam said, you don't get people getting up early in the morning to do packing unless they go, we have a conviction that we get to create the environment where people have an encounter with God. I've been a pastor. I've hosted the guys from Italy who come and go, oh, is this part of New Zealand culture just to serve? I was like, no, I've been a pastor. This is not accidental. This is a culture that's been created through Pastor Sam and other people's leadership where conviction has been put into people and they're now living strongly out of conviction. Come on, you've got a job to be people of conviction, but then to pass on. Imagine if this conviction just started multiplying to every person that started coming into our world. This thing would just mushroom out and multiply because people are living out of conviction. Another one I loved, when I first came to Equippers College, the staff said, oh, Shout Conference, the students have to buy their own ticket, they have to buy the t-shirt, and then some of them never get into a session. I was like, that's not going to work. And it does work because they have a conviction around serving. And so, again, before Shout, Pastor Sam did this message at the vision night around Jesus turning the water into wine and how, they brought the water. And this is the final thing. He did not realize where it had come from, though the servants who had drawn the water knew. And the whole point was the guests didn't know about the miracle, but the servants did. Everyone walks out of there like, I'm not going to go to Shout just to be a guest. I want to serve because I want to be where the miracles happen. I was like, how does he do that? He built conviction of the why. I'm going to serve because I have a conviction about miracles come to people who serve. And it's like, there's your job. Build conviction in team. That would multiply miracles. And I have this conviction that that's a good way to live Christian life. I have a conviction that's as good, that might make you a better human being, actually. And I love, flick up the next one, I was talking with Trina before, that this is not a strategy to how to build church. This is a strategy to equip people to do life well. And it's like, this works. And we just need to be people of conviction around this stuff. I got 5 minutes. So just some of you seen this. Mark Verikes did this thing around culture where he picked a letter for each letter of culture. And just, what does culture mean? It's culture when it's consistent. When people do things in projects. I love third line downs from Pastor Sam. Anything you fix by project that should be fixed by process isn't culture. Oh, the giving's not very good. Let's have a giving month. No, let's build a culture of generosity. Oh, we haven't seen many people saved. Let's have an evangelism month. No, let's build a culture of invitation. Come on, your job is to teach into shifting culture. Remember, you're an architect and a custodian of culture. If anything in your culture you don't like, your job is to shift it. Come on, it's culture when it's consistent. Next one, just quickly going to go through these. Pastor Sam said we often try to use money to fix what is a lacking. Oh, we haven't got anyone to do kids. Could we find some money and pay a salary? No, let's build a culture that honors kids, that invests in kids, that serves. Let's change the culture of church. You come on, your job in leadership is you're an architect of culture to build conviction into people. And I love this thing, back one, changing the culture is about changing the floor, not the ceiling. It's not, oh man, we did a stewardship month and we got this much giving. It's like, no, we changed our base level of giving up to here now. This is now the culture of our church. Come on, what's the culture of your music team? What's the culture of your kids workers team? What's the culture of your young adults team? That's your job. Ensure the transmission of the culture till they live out of conviction. Next one was that it's unshakable. This is the teaching side of it. You can't live out a conviction if it doesn't come out like this is a biblical value to honor the presence of God. This is a biblical value to do things with excellence. So you need to have an unshakable conviction yourself that this is important. I'm just quickly going to go through some of these. The next one is the elder lived. Paul, you've heard and seen in me do it. You can't be telling other people to do it if you don't live out a conviction and live these values. I want to be a person of honor. I want to be a person of excellence. I want to be a person who's committed to doing things together. Then I can sell conviction. Then I can teach conviction to my team because I'm living it. Just quickly going to go through some of this. The next one is the T. And so Mark Verike's point was you can't have that level of conviction around just preferences. It's got to come out of biblical truth. No, we honor the presence of God. No, we're stewards of talents. We need to develop them as much as we can. No, we're committed to relationship, doing things together. Next one, the unapologetic. So zero tolerance for what's been decided as culture. Like, we don't do things slack here. We do things with excellence. No, we don't get isolated because we're committed to a biblical value of together. We're unapologetic. No, we don't do it like that here. This is why we do it, because we have conviction about it. Next one, just flick up the next one. And so part of it is you reinforce it. I love, at vision nights in Auckland, they often get people to hand out chocolate and to different random people. It's never like, oh, here, Steve, because you preached a great sermon, or here, Esther, because you led worship. It's like, oh, here's chocolate for the person who drives from the North Shore to Manukau to run a small group. Or here's chocolate for someone who hired the bus to bring her workmates. It's reinforcing culture. Come on, your job is to reinforce culture by what you celebrate, by the testimonies that you talk, by the preaching and devotions you share, by getting in speakers who reinforce culture. One of the things Equippers is great on is these axioms or proverbs that just constantly reinforce culture. Come on, my job is to transmit conviction by reinforcing culture. You've got one job, transmit culture to your team. And the last one, one more. And his whole point, it's culture when it's everywhere. And it's like, oh yeah, this is now our culture. That's what I love going around Europe, all these different churches. Oh yeah, this is Equippers culture. Sometimes it's hard to put your finger on it, but it's like, no, this is culture. No, this is not quite. Oh, but we like Equippers. Yeah, you're associating, but you haven't quite aligned yet. And yet not at the level of agreement. Oh, no, the DNA has been transferred. Like, the process is healthy now. It's like, oh, that's my job. Is that all right? I want to skip, can I just finish with something? If you skip down to slide number 97. What? We're going to skip out a whole lot. Just to finish, I'm going to leave out a whole other section. But it's really hot up here. Is it hot down there? Oh, it's nice. Okay. Hey, just at the end of last year, I was just kind of praying about this year, and I felt, God, what do you want to say? And I just felt this one word, better. Yeah, flick up the next one. And this might sound really superficial. I just feel, 2019 is going to be better than 2018. You might go, how can you say that? But flick up the next one. Next one? Did we jump back? No. Next one. Cool. The path of the righteous is like the morning sun shining ever brighter. And it's like, I've been a Christian 40 over years. There's some difficult times in there, but I can tell you my testimony is in the long game, it just keeps getting better. Over the long haul, it gets better. So there might be some challenges, but I'm convinced, and I have a conviction that as I keep pursuing God, life is just going to get better. So I believe there's a biblical basis to state 2019 is going to be better. If you had a hard year in 2018, 2019 is going to be better. If you had a great year in 2018, 2019 is going to be better. Come on, it's going to be better. It's going to be better. What's the next one? I don't know if Eugene Peterson died in October. He's the guy that wrote the Message translation. Oh, that clock's wrong. What's the time? Yeah. And there's this, Logan's here, a few students here. I was teaching theology, and the last lesson in theology is about death, resurrection, eternal life and stuff. And he died 2 days before the lecture. And so I kind of quite intrigued by him. He wrote that, but he wrote like 30 books. He's a real amazing biblical scholar. But the night before the lecture, his family put this post up about his last few days. And this is what they said. During the previous days, it was apparent that he was navigating the thin and sacred space between earth and heaven. We overheard him speaking to people we can only presume were welcoming him into paradise. He's 85 years old. Then he says this, he's a Presbyterian, but he must have had a Pentecostal childhood. There may have even been a time or two when he accessed his Pentecostal roots and spoke in tongues as well. But then they said this, among his final words were, "Let's go." And his joy, my oh my, the man remained joyful right up to his blessed end, smiling frequently. In such moments, it's best for all mortal flesh to keep silence. But if you have to say something, say this, holy, holy, holy. And I kind of roasted our students because kind of the culture last year was, let's go, let's go, let's go. And I said, you think you're cool because you say, if on your deathbed you can say, let's go, then you're cool. And I love it that this guy, here's my challenge. That's what I'm talking about. This guy had an absolute conviction that the future was better. Whatever the future is better. The future is better. Come on, can I invite you to stand? Flick up the next one. I can't remember. Blessed are those who strengthen you, whose hearts are set on pilgrimage. Come on, I'm moving forward. Maybe I could get the keyboard. Come on, I'm moving forward. On the way, I might have to pass through some valleys, but God will meet me there and it will be okay. But they will go from strength to strength. Come on, you're going to get better. It's going to get better. It's going to get better. All right? Yeah, bro. Okay, yeah, okay. It's going to get better. Come on, it's going to get better. And I love, just a reflection, Psalm 23. So you might, maybe you could close your eyes if you want, or just engage. The Lord is my shepherd. Come on, He's leading me somewhere. He's going to provide. He's going to make a way. Things are going to work out. Come on, I have a conviction that it's going to get better. And that next one, and there might be some dark valleys in the way, but that's not my destination. I'm just passing through. Don't camp there. As Pastor said, don't let disappointment cause you to go, well, this is it. No, we all got to pass through some valleys. But we're passing through. Come on, the long game is it's getting better. Come on, it's getting better. Don't let disappointment cause you to give up. Come on, it's getting better. And so the psalm finishes with this great thing. You prepare a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup overflows. I love that. Surely your goodness and love says follow me. In the Hebrew, it's will pursue me, will hunt me down. Man, I'm not living in the goodness and mercy of God. They're after me. They're going to relentlessly be chasing me down this year. If I'm not there yet, they're coming after me. Because ultimately, I'm going to dwell in the house of the Lord forever. I just believe we need a conviction of the goodness of God. We need a conviction that life is going to be better this year. And so I'd love just to, just for a minute, just to have an environment, life gives us some knocks. Maybe you're just carrying some knocks from 2018. We love, part of our value, together. We want to stand with you. We want to encourage you. Come on, your 2019 is going to be better. We want you to go into this year with conviction. Come on, we're going to see things grow. We're going to see things expand. We're going to see things multiply. Come on, it's going to get better. 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 Just begin to open up your heart to a conviction. It's going to get better. Come on, it's going to get better. Come on, it's going to get better. It's going to get better. You know, just as, because we're family, because we're committed together. If you just feel like, man, I'm just carrying a few bruises or knocks into this year, could I invite you just, you know, man, I'm here because I have a conviction that you guys are awesome. I have a conviction, I have a conviction that, man, we love each other. We believe in each other. We would love to stand with you just now and just minister. If you feel like, man, I need that conviction, do you just want to raise your hand? I need a conviction that this year's going to get better because I'm just feeling a bit took a few knocks in 2018. If someone's got their hand up, can you just pray with them? Just for a minute. Come on, there's some healing. There's some more healing. I think there's some more people. Come on, we want to live out a conviction. Just as you finish, if you can just kind of stay in the presence of God, I just want to do one more thing before we finish. You know, one of the big kind of countercultural things for me is our commitment to together. And for me, there's been a real challenge to let go of independence. And, no alignment, that's control, that's like, no. I just want to be part of something that changes our nation. And I just feel like, just for a minute, maybe you want to close your eyes or something, but there's a grace, how good and pleasant it is when we dwell together in unity. Like, we're doing this together. We're not even doing this as a fellowship. We're doing this between Napier and Hastings and Thames. Like, we're doing this together. And then we're together around the nation. Then we're together with Tonga and Germany and England. Like, we're doing this together. I have a conviction that we could do something phenomenal in the next few years. And one of the keys is for multiplication because we're doing it together. And so I just want you to stand for a minute, and if you're just aware of kind of independence, just to kind of like, just say, God, I don't want to partner with that anymore. I want to know what it likes to join with brothers and sisters. We love each other. We're doing this together. Man, we're gonna support one another when someone stumbles. We're gonna encourage one another when their head's dipping a bit again. But we're just gonna do this together. Come on, just for a moment, I just want you to kind of pray out to God like, oh man, I have a conviction now about together. I have a conviction. I don't have to be persuaded. I'm not reluctant. I have a conviction that we're doing stuff together. Come on, for a minute, just let that out of your spirit and worship. Come on, I have a conviction. We're better together. God's going to bless unity. His anoint. We're going to have the time of our lives with a whole group of friends, changing our nation for Jesus. We're going to have an amazing time. Come on, together, in Jesus' name.